Good day, everyone, and Assalamu alaikum. On behalf of Global CIO Forum, Cloud4C, and AWS, I welcome all the online attendees to the 60+ minutes live virtual summit titled Switch to Cloud, Embrace the Resilient Revolution with SAP on AWS. With SAP and SAP S4 HANA processes on the AWS cloud platform, enterprises can opt for a transformative overhaul. They can gain ultra-low latency for workloads and some of the best availability solutions. They can integrate SAP workloads with AWS-native tools. And some of the expected benefits are zero friction SAP cloud migration, agile performance, maximum availability, certified managed SAP systems, and streamlined governance with national international standards. Leading us through today's virtual summit are Deep Sengupta, Board of Directors, Cloud4C, and former President and Managing Director, SAP India and South Asia. Jason Bath, EMEA Head, SAP on AWS. And Madhav Rao, CEO, Cloud4C Digital Services. So now, before I hand over to Dave, here are some short housekeeping rules. All attendees are on mute throughout the session. However, we encourage attendees to ask questions through the chat option, and speakers shall answer them at the end of the session. I would also like to draw the attention of the attendees to the 3 online polls during the session and request your active participation during the polls. So with that, I'd like to now call Deep to start today's session. Over to you, Deep Sengupta.
Thank you, Arun. Thanks for the introduction and the warm welcome. And I guess you in 1 minute you'll summarize everybody's presentation. So you made our jobs easy. But on a serious note, I'm delighted to be here today. This is my favorite region for a variety of reasons. Whether it's a culture, whether it is a cuisine, I really miss being with my friends and having a good meal in Dubai or Abu Dhabi. You know, it's been a while since I've been there. Just a bit of a background. What I thought I will do is share a bit of my perspective from an outside-in perspective, not just from a technology perspective, from a business user perspective. I'd spent almost 25 years or more in the SAP ecosystem. Of that, last 2 decades of SAP in different functions. And I was also responsible for running the 3rd largest subsidiary of SAP globally in terms of resources, in terms of people. And as a business user, I always used to tell my IT teams, my CIO, that the teams need to be far more focused on help improve customer experience, on help improve partner engagement, and help improve employee engagement, and how we can leverage technology to be able to do that. And in fact, when I interacted with many of our clients, especially at the board level, there are 2 or 3 key concerns or key issues which every board member spoke about during that time. How can technology help enable them better? How can technology help them to innovate? How can technology help them to change the culture? If you move to the, can we move to the next slide, please? Thank you. There's a bit of a simulation. If you can just quickly go through all the simulation. Yeah. So maybe one more click. Thank you. So here I'm today. In today's scenario, right now what we are talking, the narrative is completely changed. The narrative is about what can business leaders learn from IT professionals. How can business learn from technology, IT professionals, to navigate through tectonic shifts in the business landscape, and especially in the post-pandemic world? I'll give a few examples. So every IT manager, CIO has been very familiar with agile DevOps, right? Today, businesses are forced to what is called agile business DevOps. I'll give you a few examples of this. Suppose you're a large automotive dealer or you're a large automotive service center in the region. You may probably experimenting with the concept of a virtual sales assistant because you will not have too many footfalls in your dealership. You may not have too many people driving their cars too much to bring it for service, or you may be training your shop floor mechanics using AR or VR technologies. Similarly, if you're a FMCG company, you would have depended upon your distributors or retailers as your channel. Today, you could be experimenting. How do you engage customers not through e-commerce, not just to fulfill a transaction, but to provide a superior brand experience digitally? Or if you're a retailer of products, if you retail certain products, multinational global products and things like that, you may be experimenting. How can you have a subscription-based model or rental models instead of selling products? So these are the experiments which are happening world over by traditional businesses for them to navigate through this change. And the methodology they are adopting is what is called the agile business DevOps. It is very similar to as IT managers and CIOs what you have practiced in modernizing your IT landscape or your application landscape. So businesses are learning from technology. So that's one example I can talk about that. To be able to achieve this agility of what we are talking about, a complete shift in business model, there has to be a very thoughtful use of both digital and physical assets to be able to provide a consistent consumer experience in this hybrid world. Because you know you're going to they're going to be a stop and go kind of a thing over next 12 18 months. You never know whether the third wave, fourth wave, whatever comes in. Businesses will continue to work both offline and online, and many businesses have already said that they want to continue to work offline or in a hybrid mode for the foreseeable future. So given this, today business leaders are challenged to experiment with models which they have never done before, and that comes at a risk. And there are certain techniques you can use to mitigate the risk, like from a technology perspective, it could be the IT infrastructure, it could be provisioning, it could be elastic capacity. So these are the kind of things which businesses today can learn from IT leaders or CIOs. So the paradigm over the last 12 to 18 months has completely shifted from IT being an enabler to technology being the business, even for the most traditional industries. Right. So with that, what I wanted to do was, what are the challenge which exists for businesses as well as for technologies? If you move to the next slide, please. Building these capabilities is not easy, the new capabilities, because if you look at the organization, any organization today, whether it's a mid-sized organization, large organization, or small organization, most of your resources and investments are based on what is called keep the lights on, how you run the business in a business as usual model. While there is a lot of talk, but there has been very little attention or focus on creating truly innovative systems. And the larger the company is, the more embedded, the more resources you're there to run business as usual mode, whether it's a technology part of the business or whether it's a business itself. So if you look at the bottom part of the pyramid, on the left pyramid, the system of record and system of differentiation possibly captures 80 to 90% of the resources, of the budgets, and of the focus investments. To be able to achieve this agility, one needs to reverse the pyramid. And that is why you see today Startups are disrupting every industry, whether it is fintech, whether it is automotive, with the future of mobility, whether it is e-commerce, you name it, whether it is retailing, or it's plain manufacturing. Startups are pretty much disrupting everybody because their focus is on the future. And there cannot be a great exemplar of a company which has innovated at scale and continues to innovate at scale is Amazon. And we are fortunate to have Amazon AWS with us and our friend Jason. He's going to talk about how Amazon reinvented modern cloud computing to enable some of these capabilities to businesses and also to IT managers and CIOs. So if we move on to the next slide, please. If you look over the last decade or so, that is when actually cloud has evolved to a more mature state, right? And there are 4 layers to this entire cloud thing, which obviously as technologies, all of you are aware of it. But what I'm going to share is a little bit different perspective. So obviously, cloud infrastructure is the basic bare bone. Today, most of the applications are written on cloud databases and analytical services. Similarly, cloud DevOps is containerization, and DevOps has become the buzzword. And cloud application, SaaS application within the CRM area or HCM area or supply chain area has been growing and being adopted at rapid speed across the world. I'm sure in your regions you are also seeing many of these technologies being adopted by your companies, or you're in the stages of evaluating that. But however, this has created this new landscape has created significant amount of challenges for the CIO, IT managers, and application heads. Because you can't just switch to cloud overnight. You have a legacy to maintain. At the same point of time, how do you move to the new age technologies? How you enable, how you reduce cost, how you improve efficiency, how you help companies innovate in their business model are the key challenges. And let's look at some of those challenges. If we move to the next slide, please. Yeah, it says. I guess the most important challenge today, you'll agree with me, has been about talent. How can we get the right set of talent who are able to get, whether it is architects, whether it is developers at an organization level, who is able to understand this hybrid world from a technology perspective as well as from a work perspective, and able to, help create a roadmap for the organization. Similarly, I don't need to overemphasize on cybersecurity and compliance requirement. As you adopt more towards cloud, you're going to get your security up to the world-class level. There is no compromise on that. Thirdly, when you adopt to cloud, the amount of change management you got to do with your users and even in your internal teams is pretty, I would say, it's a pretty significant effort, right? Because earlier you used to getting things on the fly. When you go to a SaaS model, there are a few constraints you have to live with. There are a lot of advantages also, right? And finally, the biggest change management is about execute, understanding, and appreciation what cloud brings. It is not just about cost reduction. It is about the first point I talked about. It is about providing agility to the business model so that you can experiment with your business model. You can change your business model in requirement what the consumer demands, in requirement of the current situation of hybrid workspace, right? And that is what the true benefit of cloud would come. One through cost reduction, other through value creation in helping businesses be agile and create new models. Companies which have been able to successfully traverse this journey adopt cloud philosophically process-wise, as well as from a technology perspective, have been very agile, have been able to leverage, even it is not just, cloud companies who are able to do that. It is not just the Amazons of the world. There are many examples of, I say, physical companies, asset-oriented companies adapting to this cloud model in a very, very significant way, not just from a technology landscape perspective, also from a business landscape, technology landscape, talent landscape, the entire gamut of activities, and the payoffs are significant. Maybe if you go to the next slide, please. If you look at from a payoff on a cloud adoption across every function of an enterprise, whether it's a R&D, whether it's a procurement function, whether it's a supply chain function, whether it's a manufacturing function, whether it's a marketing and sales function, whether it's the after sales function, or a business support function, there is significant impact. One, as I said, from the share of cost reduction perspective, also in providing improved experience to your internal stakeholders, which is your employees, to your customers, and to your partners, and more importantly, at a strategic level, by providing agility to the business. So it is up to us, it is up to the technologies to be able to look at all of these, and not, when you put up your business case to your management for adopting SAP on cloud or moving SAP landscape to cloud, you have to consider not just the technological aspects, you have to consider the business aspect, you have to look at enhanced capability which it can give to businesses in a significant way. More importantly, you also have to possibly talk to partners who are, I would say, cloud native partners, cloud native service providers, who can help you traverse this journey, architect this roadmap. And the way I look at it is, this is a whole new world. Companies which have done it successfully have had a significant spin-off from not just from a cost reduction perspective, from a business improvement perspective. And I would strongly encourage you to look at it. And I believe for all the SAP diehard supporters in this, Rise with SAP program promises to be a cloud transformation journey for you, which can help your, not just reduce cost, but help drive some of this transformation agenda. And as I talked about, some of the cloud service providers are today providing outcome-based models as well, not just a FTE model. So you may want to look at your entire, talent base, your entire sourcing thing, to be able to, put up a cloud strategy which is encompassing. And with that, I conclude my session, and I would like to hand over to Jason from AWS to share his perspective. But before that, can I request our audience to participate in a small poll?
Thanks, Deb. Just checking you can hear me whilst you're looking at the poll.
I can hear you.
Great stuff. And maybe share the screen so that I can start doing some presentation for me. Not just for the organizer to share, give me the power to share the screen. Thank you. Okay, just another check with the organizers that you can see a slide.
So Jason, the poll is in progress, and the results should be up now.
Got it. Let me know when we're ready to go.
So Jason, just to summarize, the poll has been closed, but the results were 39% are having internal discussions, 22% have started, and 39% no plans as yet. Just a summary of the poll which we just closed.
Great stuff, and thanks for that. We'll build that into the conversation at the end in terms of the fireside chat. Great information.
Yeah, so your slides are good. Okay to go, Jason.
Great stuff. So welcome everybody. Good morning, I guess good afternoon, and hopefully not good evening to yourselves. But as you see, my name is Jason Barth. I'm running the SAP EMEA business for AWS. Delighted to be on this call. And like Deb said, you know, used to be living in the Middle East myself. And longing to get back when things get a slightly bit more normal than they are at the moment. So thanks for the opportunity to present to you. I want to go fast and furious. You know, they've given me 15 minutes. It's nearly 20 past my time, but I want to go fast and furious and really just dig straight into it in terms of why SAP customers are choosing AWS as the platform to run what I call mission critical workloads, or alternatively, being British, the crown jewels of data in an organization. Why would you pass that responsibility to AWS? And I want to go through a few of these points in terms of why our customers are seeing it. Let me kick off. First of all, our former CEO of AWS, Andy Jassy, and now the CEO of Amazon, he coined a great phrase, okay? There is no compression algorithm for experience, he would say. Very technical description. But ultimately, that's what I'm putting down on this slide at the moment. We have had 13 years of relationship with SAP. You will not be surprised to learn they are one of our biggest customers in the world. And we've had a very deep and long technical track record with AWS, starting from 2008. And that relationship has been completely based on innovation that Deb talked about. And you can see some of the highlights across the time here. And where we are now, again, very much fell into where Deb was talking about in terms of agile DevOps. That's where our investment is currently or currently at the moment, where we are developing wizard-based deployment and automation techniques specifically for SAP. More of that later on. But I also wanted to just highlight, you know, that as a result of that relationship, a lot of SAP solutions are running on the AWS platform. You know, favorite companies like SAP Concur that we use in AWS to do our expenses, time travel management, they're actually all running on AWS at the moment. We've had the first certification for the original products, HANA Enterprise Cloud. That was deployed and developed on AWS first, etc. So we've had a very rich relationship with SAP, and we continue to do so with the release of the RISE product, which I'll cover a little bit later on. But you've seen, I'm just putting up a few brands here, and we're very switched on to presenting brands in AWS. So, you know, we've got MGM, before Amazon bought them, this is, by the way, you know, they moved their mission critical ECC to AWS very quickly. We've migrated Zappos in around 2 days for their suite on HANA solution. And at Twitch, you know, we're implementing S4 HANA on AWS to serve their customers better. Also, if you look at some of the analyst reports, there's currently only one analyst report. Gartner don't do it, but ISG do. You know, around what's going on in the HANA marketplace, very specialist marketplace, but HANA infrastructure services. You'll see here that we've led this chart as the leader in providing the best platform for HANA instances for SAP, obviously, as well. So analysts are also backing us up in saying, yeah, you're right at the top of the pack. And I'll come on to some of the other studies as well. But hey, in the Middle East, security and compliance is, of course, super important. It is across the world. And at AWS, we call that the absolute basics of the job that we provide our customers. So We can see here some of our credentials as to why AWS is a leader in cloud security. You know, we are the only cloud vetted and accepted secure platform for top secret workloads. Come on to that in a second. Also, our latest EC2 or compute instances use our Nitro system, which has some very clever capability to ensure that we're reducing attacks from our compute instances, something that is pretty much the main service that SAP customers use from us, certainly to start off with. And also companies like SAP's NS2 organization, which runs a number of the US government workloads, SAP workloads, they all run on AWS and certified first with us as well. You can see that some of the security and compliance controls that we have in place, and of course all AWS customers inherit this capability by using our platform. So this is something from day one that our customers are getting the benefit of. We are GCP compliant, so if you're in the pharma side of the world, that's something that, for example, one of our customers in South Africa is taken advantage of. So if you've got a compliance or HIPAA, etc., that you need to comply to, it's usually found in AWS already. Just wanted to give you an example of that statistic. The US Navy, US Navy migrated its largest SAP ERP to the AWS GovCloud with the NS2 framework from SAP. So just putting it out there, if the US Navy feel that our platform is secure enough to run their workloads, then I believe that certainly tells us something. The other point I wanted to raise now is how we at AWS are working back from our customers. Yeah? We're providing customers choice. And one of the exhibits I wanted to kick off with is just to remind you that the Gartner vendor rating has us down as strong. If you're using phones, you can take a copy of that QR code and download the report for yourself. But we're scored a 28 out of 30 score for the Gartner vendor rating. That is unheard of for a technology provider like AWS. You can see from the chart on the right where our customers are rating us. So we are the world's most customer-obsessed technology company. And that is one of our real strong sales propositions for you. Yeah, we are obsessed about our customers, not our order book on our doing a deal basis. This is something that is a bit quirky for AWS, as somebody has come from SAP for 13 years, but it's something that I see, live, and love joining into on a daily basis. The other element of choice that I want to put across to yourselves is that, hey, AWS from an SAP point of view is not going to our customers and saying S/4HANA is the only way forward. RISE is the only way forward. We are 100% supporters of RISE, but I was talking to a customer just yesterday, and they were walking us through why they can't go to S4 straight away. And I checked the answers that they gave us. I probed on the answers because destiny should be S/4HANA. But for some customers, it's not the right time. Lift and shift with slight modifications to database. In this case, the customer was looking to move over to DB2 and just move into the cloud with ECC on DB2, something that we can support and we can make happen from an AWS point of view. Some customers, it's correct to move to S4 straight away, either native or RISE. Come on to that in a second. But we are able to help customers with our tools and migration methodologies and toolings in whichever way that you want to go. We want to work back from the customers and join your journey, the right journey for you for moving to S4 for SAP. Some of our customers here, we're providing some more logos here. You know, customers that are lifted and shipped in ECC, like RBI, Kellogg's, and in fact for us in the UK, I would add Centrica onto that list. Customers moving to Suite on HANA, like Bose, which I've spent a lot of money on. S4 HANA migration at Siemens, mega project for us. And also where customers are coming out the other end of these journeys and starting to innovate, modernize, and do some of the innovation that Deb talked about as well. So I wanted to just cover RISE because quite rightly, I mean, Deb mentioned it as well, you know, this is a fantastic proposition from SAP that gives ultimately a single contract to do a lot of what you need in your journey to S4, including infrastructure from AWS. But I would urge customers to look at the differences between RISE and what we call AWS-native. Because for some customers, RISE is exactly the right way forward. For other customers, the native way is the right way forward. And we are more than able to help our customers to evaluate that. But I want to leave this message, maybe there's a few SAP people on this call, but our preference is to work with SAP and to join SAP in their strategy going forward. The other thing that I wanted to say is, Deb mentioned it as well, around cost of ownership, TCO, SAP. So the key advantages of moving to AWS is, of course, you know, it'll be the last infrastructure upgrade that you'll ever make. They're estimated worldwide that around 90% of workloads have not moved into public cloud, so the market is still huge. From my experience in, say, the Middle East, I think that actually the Middle East is slightly behind the worldwide statistic. I would say somewhere between 5 and 10%. So there's a lot of customers out there, and perhaps you're on the call, that are still looking at doing infrastructure upgrades. But the main thing is that once you've moved to AWS, you know, that is the last infrastructure upgrade you'll ever need, because we've got a lot of instance types to support your journey moving forward. And it is very easy and smooth to keep up the pace of what you need from an infrastructure with an infinite, with a huge amount of capacity and capability to support your journey going forward. We come on to industry-leading automation in terms of the DevOps side of it, the basis role that is very important from an SAP perspective. That's something that we can also support. I talked about this, but here's some of the key points that we would do. We would position in terms of why this is the last infrastructure upgrade you'll ever make. And I wanted to just focus down on that last point. 106 price reductions. Price reductions since 2006. SAP follows the flywheel methodology. The more customers that come on and that can use our infrastructure, the lower the cost base is for AWS, the more that we actually reduce the cost for customers. And we've got the proof. There are 106 price reductions that we've made. So it's not a journey where that you come into AWS Cloud and the price will increase. We can prove that actually the price will decrease for running the infrastructure. Basis is a really important point here. And Deb talked about how the talent skills gap is there. But we're also seeing that we can reduce that challenge by reducing the amount of effort and the skills required to run SAP. We've got examples here with Twitch that are using the Launch Wizard product. And I wanted to double click into this solution. This is one of the capabilities that's available free of charge. You just download it. When you join AWS, you get access to the Launch Wizard product. And essentially what that allows you to do is to deploy a SAP instance, a S4 instance, for example, in a matter of hours, yeah, which is a huge game changer. Customers can spend weeks, days, and now we can deploy it in an hour. I was doing a webinar with one of my solution architects the other day. We kicked off the launch with it in a webinar. We made it a little bit simple. There was no HA in it there on this instance, but by the end of the webinar, our solution architect had proved that we'd actually deployed a live S4 HANA solution as well, all wizard driven, providing the parameters in there, and it built it out of the box for yourself. So an example, some of the things we're doing to reduce the labor costs and improve the efficiency of running SAP on AWS. The next thing that Deb talked about was the need to innovate, and this is where the big bang for your buck comes from when you're moving SAP into AWS, because what you can do is that you can join the breadth and depth of our full services from AWS into SAP to absolutely provide huge speed improvements on innovation. So we've got customers that I'm seeing this particularly in the analytics space. I'm seeing it on AI, ML, and we've got an example later on, but Zalando is an internet retailer based out of Germany, and they're doing some really cool stuff with their S4 HANA. So they're containing the cost of the operational S4 HANA instance by sucking data out of S4 into AWS Redshift. They're putting machine learning on top of that data and then feeding the results back into the SAP system to improve forecasting, improve the customer experience as well. All of that is done in an extremely agile way. You can do this within hours, create a new service to a customer, and experiment, another point that Deb referred to in terms of new business models. The other thing that we're really passionate about, and this aligns to the SAP strategy, about having a clean core, standardizing. So we're working with customers, low-code vendors like Pillar, for example, that have got some awesome tooling that can do some discovery of your ECC customizations and then automate those to return you to the core, to simplify your ECC instances, and therefore to be able to innovate and unlock the capability. Here's some of the customers doing it. I referred already to Zalando. Delivery Hero, which is one of those organizations that are like Uber Eats, but you can see what they're doing is that they're using serverless invoice generation using the AWS technology, just pushing at the edge of the SAP use cases to improve their customer experience. This is another really super important one. I talked about ISG, but the famous Magic Quadrant, is we have been 10 years in that top right-hand corner. Okay, our competition are moving around. Yeah, Microsoft is actually going a little bit to the left, to the southwest, if you're familiar with sailing compass charts. Google's slightly more over to the right, but look at the gap still for AWS. And this is the important thing for me that I wanted to refer to around SAP. It's a bit technical, but I wanted to point out the way that we run AZs, or availability zones. Our regions run with multiple availability zones. What does that mean? That we have multiple data centers, within an availability zone. That means from an SAP point of view, put it simple, that you can do synchronous replication of HANA. That means that our standard, well-architected SAP solution from AWS includes HA out of the box. We encourage customers to take advantage of our AZ. For some customers, when you look at what the definition of that is and where these DCs are physically located, the distance between them, that is essentially providing the same as the disaster recovery capability that customers have running at the moment. But you're getting essentially disaster recovery out of the box with AWS from an SAP perspective. I'd like to get one of our solution architects along with C to explain that a little bit more so that we fully understand the technicalities behind that. But also, our EC2 systems are using the AWS Nitro system. What that means is that we're taking the hypervisor functionalities that suck energy out of the compute environment normally, and we've got dedicated compute instances to do the hypervisor functions. What that means is that you're getting more price performance, more bang for your buck, as the Americans would call it, or more SAPs for dollar in our world out of our EC2 instances than our competition. I said that it reduces security issues and also it improves flexibility. So there's some real technology in our compute instances. Just want to summarize, our customers are choosing us for our unmatched experience, no compression for experience, no compression algorithm for experience, our security that comes out of the box, the fact that we're providing choice, we're not driving our SAP customers down a particular route. We've got proven cost savings. Remember the 106 cost reductions. Remember the 200 plus cloud services that you can innovate with. And remember the way that our architecture works with AZs, which means that we're providing HA for SAP customers. In terms of going forward with C4C, I want to just encourage you to start doing some discovery workshops with AWS and C4C, looking at initial TCO assessments, and then driving you forwards with C4C. Looking forward to welcoming Madaf on the call shortly. But I wanted to summarize by saying, hey, maybe you've not seen it, but we already have a Bahrain region in the Middle East, and I'm delighted to announce that we have our AWS UAE region. It's available at the first half of 2022. You can go and have a search for it on the web. You'll see the page that I've just copied here for more detail. But I'm super pumped that we can bring all of that SAP capability, not just to our Bahrain region, but also to our UAE region, first half of 2022. So what I would suggest is that we stop there. And I'd love to introduce Madaf to you. Madaf is a customer that I worked at when I was at SAP in the Middle East, and I'm thrilled and honored to be on stage with him on Next. But before we do that, we have our second poll. Aaron, we've got a second poll that we just opened up for you. I'd love you to give us your feedback that we'll use in some of our fireside chat later on, and Aaron will summarize before Madaf starts. So with that, Madaf, over to you, my friend. Looking forward to hearing your session.
Thank you, Jason. The polls are in progress and have closed. The data is in front. If I can quickly just summarize, where are you in S4 HANA migration? Already on a green field, 17%, 3 to 9 months, 17%, 10 to 18 months, 50%, currently satisfied with the current ERP setup, 17%. Over to you, Madhav. Madhav, if you can check your audio and video, please. Yeah, we can see your video feed. If you can unmute yourself, thanks.
All right.
Yeah, go ahead, please. Thank you.
I'm audible. Yeah, very good morning to Middle East participants today. And thank you very much, Dave and Jason, for your wonderful sessions. My name is Madaf Rao. I head this Cloud4C digital services, where we offer SAP professional services, which I'll talk about it. Can we move on to the slides? Yeah. Cloud4C, about us. We are an enterprise application service providers having 4,000 plus customers. Out of that, around 550 plus SAP customers globally, with our global footprint in 25 different countries and 52 cities, with our headquarters in Singapore, and with a workforce of 2,000 plus. Our SAP credentials, our certifications include in hosting services, cloud services, DevOps, application management services, and HANA operations services. We are the largest premium supplier for HANA Enterprise Cloud across the globe. Our AWS expertise, we have, out of that 4,000 plus customers, we have around 450 plus SAP customers on AWS, with 250 plus SAP in-house consultants, providing various AWS services. Next, please. At Cloud4C, our SAP BU, our SAP Business Unit, the core starts with automation. We have our own platform called SHOP, stands for Self-Healing Operation Platform, where we automated most of the tasks around SAP managed services, falling into different segments, managing complex hyperscaler activities or hosting services, and automating the entire migrations, and offering highest availability of 99.9, which is the highest in the industry at the application level, at very optimized costs, giving the best value for money in SAP. Next, please. We are trusted by 60 of the Fortune 500 enterprises. You can see there in the top 3 out of the top 5 banks, 2 out of the top automobiles, 2 of the top 5 media companies, 2 out of the top 5 pharmas, 2 out of the top 5 global financial services companies. And we have managed to bring in some of the key clients in the Middle East region, which you can see the different customers displayed on the screen. Mostly in all covering most of the industries, right from oil and gas, manufacturing, airlines, distribution, wholesale distributions, retail. Next, please. Yeah, what we have seen as our SAP services, now our portfolio, you have seen that SAP Cloud4C is more known for its infrastructure and managed services. Today, the Cloud4C services portfolio includes right from consulting, advisory services, implementation services of SAP applications, be it S/4HANA, greenfield or brownfield or bluefield, right from application development services, application management services. And we are the RISE, as mentioned by Dave and Jason. We are the first RISE. We are already RISE with the SAP Global Partner, and we are offering the entire SAP services from business consulting to the hosting to the application management services. Next, please. Our solutions on the SAP Switch2Cloud, the subject of today, as a service. We offer this as at no capex, no risk. Adding to the Jason's pitch, which is covered in detail, I will not focus on the AWS part of it, which is covered very well. We talk about ERP modernization. In the ERP modernization, we are talking about limiting and then limiting to the entire ERP modernization to the core, moving the custom developments out of the core, such as the new BTP platform. And we also make sure that the data consistency in the entire solution, where we try to reduce the data footprint with the data archiving, data volume optimization techniques, and cloud infra modernization part, which is very well covered by Jason. I will not talk about much on that, but entire managed services transformation, where we are talking about, as I covered earlier, with our own automation core, using our own shop tool, which is we manage around 60 to 70% of entire managed services automated, and giving that highest SLA to customers. And this is an unified package offering from Cloud4C and AWS together. Next, please. Our value proposition, moving to S4 SAP HANA, as a SAP long customer COO before this role in Cloud4C, I always get questions from fellow CIOs that time, that how do I move to S4 HANA? How do I get the best value? What are the risks involved? When I should move? We try to address all these things, all these questions as a service, as a part of our professional services to our customers. And we start with assessments, we do an advisory services, and we offer all these things at no capex, very budget friendly OPEX model, be it annual, be it a quarterly, or be it a monthly, and at a fixed price, at the fixed scope and fixed timelines, and the guaranteed delivery, which is completely risk-free for our customers. Next, please. Our Switch2Cloud package includes automated managed services, which I talked about earlier, using our own platforms, application management services, and advisory and implementation services across all these industries. Today, we focus on all these industries: manufacturing, retail, financial services, high-tech, life sciences, utilities, consumer products. We are already working with few customers in Saudi Arabia and United Arab Emirates in oil and gas sectors, where we do a complete application management services, and we also do an implementation of high-end analytics using SAP Analytics Cloud Platform and BW4 for HANA. And all these Switch2Cloud package services we offer with one single unified, simplified contract, where you have only one single contract, right from moving your SAP workloads from on-prem to the AWS cloud with the Cloud4C technical teams, and then we also provide complete application management services with our functional services teams. Next, please. Coming to S/4 HANA services in detail, how do we engage our customers? We start our engaging our SAP customers, be it S/4 HANA Greenfield or S/4 HANA Brownfield or a Bluefield, with an assessment. Our assessments includes infrastructure assessment, as Jason mentioned in his slides, that an AWS move requires an initial infrastructure assessment. How do we move quickly on a timely manner? So we do a proper infrastructure assessment, followed by a complete SAP technical system assessment, and then the application assessment. We also provide complete S/4 HANA assessment for ACC customers. What kind of SAP transformations are required for them, whether it's a greenfield or a brownfield or a bluefield, by looking at various aspects, looking at their SAP technical landscape, how old, how current it is. So we do that services. So what we do is we use SAP available tools. We do a complete readiness check, and then we enable using Solution Manager. We do a complete readiness check using simplification. We produce simplification check reports, business scenario recommendation reports, and we do a complete solution-based workshops to understand these business scenario recommendations, and then see any bottlenecks available, and then we see any inconsistencies available in existing SAP customers landscape between material management and financial modules. We see that these kind of hurdles within a few of our customers, and we completely do a complete roadmap development in their entire SAP journey. Our approach, as we said, as I have mentioned in the introductory, the first slides, we use our own tool called Shop, and that tool greatly enables complete business process visualization, benchmarking, and hotspot analysis by way of elimination, automation, and lean out and analyze. In the elimination process, what we do is we identify the repetitive tasks, and then we proactively do a maintenance, and we do a problem management, and we do knowledge management, which reduces overall incidents and service requests. And we automate all these service requests by way of automation, thus reducing the complete, improving the productivity improvement, and reducing the actual people's actual workforce required to manage the entire SAP workloads. We do a complete productivity improvement by producing these kind of reports and standardizing the SOPs, and we also do that shift left application analysis rationalization, and we complete training awareness for repetitive fixes, and we see that we don't have any issue out of application management. By using all these tools and approaches, we guarantee our customers a 99.9 application login, as I mentioned earlier. Next, please. This is our talking about the service automation. This I have covered earlier. What is talking about is individually what happens right from building the SAP application, administering, outage handling, doing the governance, doing a proactive monitoring and reporting, and doing an automatic reaction methods, and we do intelligent monitoring. These are all portfolio inclusives of SAP services. Today, using our tool, we manage thousands of SAP customer use SIDs, and it is nearly impossible for us without this kind of automation. And all our services automated, and we see a great satisfaction with our customers, and then we see a great productivity within our own workforce. Next, please. Leveraging Solution Manager. I think most of the customers realize that importance of Solution Manager, especially with S/4HANA. The SAP Solution Manager 7.2, which is HANA offering with S/4HANA, and this is the first version which is released with the HANA database. And we see that this Solution Manager manages the entire SAP landscape, right from technical monitoring of applications, doing a root cause analysis. Most of the customers must be using the early watch alerts using this Solution Managers. But today, Solution Managers offers beyond that, and most like business process monitoring, change control management, and then the DVM, the data volume management, and then including the custom code management. And the good part is the Solution Manager is bundled along with your SAP contract, and those no additional licenses you need to use. And we offer the Solution Manager 7.2 as part of our assessment and building this Solution Manager 7.2 as a package for you before even you begin your journey with S/4HANA transformation. Next, please. So what you pay is actually what you use. In summary, Cloud4C offers a single SLA approach for SAP and AWS workloads up to the application layer. A one-stop shop partner who delivers complete migration, conversion, and AMS and SAP. I again re-emphasize that we are one-stop partner, right from hosting side, offering technical and functional services, and we are the leading managed service provider serving 100+ SAP customers in Middle East region. And we are happy to connect with you individually with all your as a customers and working with you this your S/4HANA or transformation journey. Next, please. With this, we have the final poll today, and please, we offer this a free discovery assessment also for you to go into S/4HANA. If you are interested, please let us know with this poll, and our workforce in the Middle East will connect with you and connect with the delivery team doing this S/4HANA assessment.
Thank you, Madhav. Super presentation over there on detailed Cloud4C services. Can I invite Jason and Deb to join us in summarizing and rating the key takeaways? So absolutely fascinating presentation, Jason and Deb also. And I see a few questions did come in from the attendees. We'll take that up. Jason, if it's okay with you, I'd like to just start with some discussion on that. And Jason, you've been working in SAP for quite some time, also Oracle and Fujitsu. You have a master's in computer science and software engineering from University of York. So absolutely fascinating profile over there. Just like to jump to your presentation. Yeah, so you're saying something, Jason? Like to jump into your presentation, 2008 to 2021 AWS relationship with SAP. Also some fascinating takeaway there, no compression algorithm for experience. Absolutely fascinating statement over there. Also, you showed RISE with SAP and AWS-native, interesting, the 25 regions and 81 availability zones. From your point of view, how would you actually summarize AWS's progress in the region? Go ahead, Jason.
Yeah, thanks, Aaron. So It's been explosive growth as it is for AWS. You'll have seen perhaps our latest results. The AWS business, for example, continues to grow at an absolutely huge rate. And of course, we're seeing that in the Middle East region. As I said, we're so pumped up about the actual future there that we've released our announcement that we're opening up a new region. I just want to double click on that, Aaron. Yeah, a new region for us is not just opening up one data center or two data centers and calling it HRDRHA sort of thing. For us, that's a huge investment from AWS side of things because we want to make sure that we take the same proposition that it's available in the UK or in the US, etc., around the world in terms of our regions, right the way down into the United Arab Emirates. So we're seeing a huge uptake. You've got some iconic names like, for example, Dubizzle. They're running already on AWS. You've got companies like Fly Dubai that are running with us as well, and also we're picking up on the startups. Don't forget, Aaron, that AWS was born from startups, which is why you see SAP, Concur, or Gigia, etc., running on AWS on one of my slides, because they were a startup that we actually harnessed very early, and they deployed very early on the platform. So we're seeing the same in the Middle East. We've got startups like Angami, Lulu International Exchange, OpenSoup.com, Al Mustafa, Stars Play. All of these startups is great to hear, and it shows why the region's growing, and it's definitely something that AWS is now concentrating on. Final point, we have a full office open, of course, in Dubai, in Saudi as well. So we are physically investing in our people in the region. And I said in one of the chats, I put the contact for Arvind, who works for me, who's based in Dubai. Anybody want to pick up with C2C on any of the stuff that we presented, then we're ready to go. So all very exciting, Aaron.
Great, and good news about the new zone. We all look forward to the developments in, or would you say region? Is it region or is it the zone?
I was going to pick you up on that, Aaron. It's a region, not an AZ. We have multiple AZs in a region, and that's why we're super reliable platform, 6 times more than our competition, if I'm honest.
Great, thanks for that. I'd like to go to you, Madhav. Now, Madhav, you served with Lulu as the group CIO, so great experience over there as an end user managing IT. Of course, you're from Harvard Business School alumnus, and you have a master's in information science and IT management from Salford University, UK. So great executive leadership at the helm of Cloud 4C. And your presentation was absolutely fascinating on the range of services which is over there, especially the Switch2Cloud advisory, application management, automation, managed services, and analytics. If I was a customer, I'd probably sign up by now. So, Madhav, looking at all the experience that you have picked up, Cloud4C has picked up in the region, typically a complex environment on premises, when you're migrating it to the cloud, what sort of checklist or what sort of points does the customer keep in mind? Go ahead, Madhav. So, Madhav, if you can unmute yourself, please. Yeah, go ahead, please, Madhav.
Okay, I think it is done from the administrator side. Thank you for unmuting now. Coming to the question, I think that's a very big, valid, important question for customers to really understand. And I begin with a complete assessment of entire landscape. We do these assessment services. In fact, we are offering this assessment now free of cost to the customers. How how complex their environment is. We need to look into their SAP technical landscape details, what kind of technical patches, kernels available, and how far they are ready. So we do a complete infrastructure as well as SAP technical landscape assessment, and then we give them a right advice on how do they mitigate the risk or prepare them in their existing landscape before the move.
Great. Thanks for that, Madhav. We'll come back to you again. A few more questions as I can see over here. I'd like to jump to you, Dave. Now, Dave, you've been a long relationship with SAP, both formally President and Managing Director of SAP India and South Asia, and of course now you're looking a lot of quite engaged with cloud startups, SaaS startups. Now, when you look at that, sometime back when I used to talk to channel partners or SAP channel partners on premises, their main qualification was how well do you manage change management, how well do you manage process mapping, a lot about the organizational complexities and other things like that when SAP was being implemented on premises. Today, when you yourself are heavily engaged in cloud services, what are the sort of skills that are required to take customers on premises to cloud and make them stabilize their operation? Go ahead, Deb.
Thanks, Arun. So I did mention briefly, today the challenges which customers face, it is not just a technology challenge, it's not just a people and change challenge, it's also a business model challenge. Especially if you're, let's say, if you're in automotive, if you're in retail, if you're in consumer product, you're looking at many different layers of change management at an organizational level, at a people level, at a technology level. So essentially, way I look at it is, your cloud readiness has to be catered to, as I said, business should be able to provide to business model agility, should be able to provide your people and change management agility, your technology agility, and obviously your entire infrastructure there. The way I look at it is, today cloud native service providers like Cloud4C, for example, like Madhav very clearly articulated, in the sense that you're able to do outcome-based models, right? Which a typical traditional service provider would not do, because this is not number of headcounts kind of a model. Let's say if you look at the traditional SAP Services partner model, it was like, I have 2,000 SAP resources, and hence that's the capacity I can fulfill. Right? It was what is called a FTE-based model. Today, what is happening? It is becoming an outcome-based model. It is becoming a service level-based model, and in which you have to deliver, a couple of things. You have to deliver a roadmap. You have to deliver a strategy. You have to deliver the architecture. You have to also do the troubleshooting, and you have to do a lot of other, I would say, heavy lifting in terms of infrastructure services and things like that. And those are the expectations of customers from the new generation service providers. And that is what I'm seeing, proliferation of that, which is happening, right? Able to integrate multiple technologies, put it, again, if you look at it, you'll have, as Jason also mentioned, you'll have today with large customers, hybrid environment. You'll have possibly on-premise environment, you'll have a public cloud environment, you might have a private cloud environment within the same customer. How do you manage all those different instances, right? So I guess that requires new kind of skills, new kind of capabilities, and more importantly, new kind of engagement and contracting models.
Great insights over there. I quite liked some of these answers over there, especially the outcome based. That's something which customers always like, and they have deep SLAs around that. Jason, coming back to you, you presented quite a few benefits and plus points on working with AWS, especially the security, the price reductions and all that. But specifically with regard to the SAP customers, and if I just look at the poll, the first poll showed 20% have just started non-production workloads, and 80% are still dabbling in their cloud migration, right? So essentially, what sort of, I think you mentioned the RISE and other models, but specifically for SAP, go ahead, Jason.
Yeah, no, I mean, that poll, really underlines what I was saying. Something that we recognise, and a lot of our customers, and we encourage it. We support it from an SAP point of view. As I said earlier, we're a bit quirky at AWS. Okay, we're not an organisation that is pushing a customer to sign a deal and just put everything in production from day one. We say experiment. Yeah, we say, like Deb says, build up your skill sets, build up your training. Yeah, use AWS and C4C to help you in that, as Madaf said. So 20% have started to put test and dev in that. Very familiar with that. That's something that we expect, we encourage. As the customer goes through the journey, this is not something that you can do unless you've got skills or you've got a great partner like C4C that you can do it very quickly. Customers want to be able to go forward slowly at their own pace, and that's something that we're absolutely supporting from an AWS point of view for SAP workloads. So very good. Next phase is, Aaron, customers we see then move, say, BW systems into AWS. Yeah, maybe that's BW on HANA or BW for HANA, or they're using it as a mechanism to migrate from BW on HANA to for HANA. I know this is a set of SAP acronyms here, but they use the cloud as the vehicle for doing that. Other customers that we see, few of them on our slide, they say, no, we've got to go. There's something going on in their business that means they're going to go straight from on-prem to S4 Greenfield, or sometimes, I think, Madaf, I saw on your slide, this Bluefield approach. That's all about us giving customers choice and something that we support in AWS. So, yeah, great to see those statistics come through from your poll.
Great stuff. Thank you, Jason. I'd like to jump to you, Dave. Now, coming to the second poll, it shows that 17-20% are sort of satisfied with their current ERP setup, but the rest are in various stages, greenfield, 3 to 9 months, 10 to 18 months type of thing. So, Deb, from your experience, what is the best time, or when does customers actually begin to feel that now is the time to move from on-premises to the cloud, based on your experience and your handholding? Go ahead, please.
Yeah, thank you. I think that's a great question. It is like asking when would you time the stock markets. That way it is never a perfect time in a way, right? You can never time it, but every organization and every industry has its inflection point. I would look at 2 or 3 aspects of it. Let's say if you look at which industry you belong to. Are you a retail industry? Are you in oil and gas? Are you in construction? Are you in automotive and things like that? And if you look at the state of nation of the industry, because industries works globally, right? And Jason and Madhav, you'll know that language very well, right? The SAP talk of it's not just the SAP talk. That's how customers look at it. If you look at from an industry perspective, what is the inflection point of the industry? Is the industry being completely disrupted with all these changes especially in the post-pandemic world? So that's number one. In some industries, you may not have a choice. You have to do that. If you're, let's say, in financial services industry, if you're in digital industries, or if you're in any other, media industry, you have to do that any which ways. You're possibly already on that curve. Let's say if you're if you're in a utility company, if you're an oil and gas company, or if you're a construction company, right? There also the disruption is coming in various phases, in various degrees. There, I would say the area of focus is on edge computing. It's basically what is happening is, it is the industry 4.0, the industrial IoT, the serverless computing. Those are the technologies which are becoming very, very prevalent. And again, those are all today delivered towards on cloud. The question about cloud is, I think, Arun, and for the audience to understand, it's not a matter of choice, it's a matter of time. You decide whether you want to be on the bandwagon of jumping onto the innovation bandwagon at the end of the tail, or at the end of the curve, or somewhere in between. Because all technologies which are coming today, all new age technologies which is coming today, right, which is related, which impacts business in a significant way, are all delivered through cloud. Simply, they're delivered through cloud because of faster time of adoption, easier change management, and consumption-based, what Jason was talking about. It's a consumption-based land and adopt kind of a strategy. So essentially, it is not about whether should I go into cloud or not. It's a question of when do you want to go into it. That depends upon the industry and your particular organization situation. I would urge everybody in the audience, even if they are not considering, even the 17% who are not considering it, should really relook at the bigger picture and see where their industry is and how their industry is being impacted.
Fascinating answer over there, and I liked during your presentation the pace layer model where the triangle gets inverted. Sooner or later, the industry is faced with disrupting. Either you just get disrupted from outside or you disrupt yourself. Absolutely interesting over there. So we are actually way out behind our time, but just to finish with one or two more questions and then key takeaways. Madaf, now we have presented the Cloud 4C services in depth. How does a customer actually begin their S4 HANA assessment? This question coming in. Go ahead, Madaf, please.
Yeah, thank you. As I mentioned it in my slides, customers can easily approach us, and what we do is we look at their landscape, and then we advise them what to do, how to go about it, and then we also give them a roadmap in terms of S4 HANA assessment report, which convinces them on what kind of risk mitigations they have to, and what kind of risk mitigations we do it as part of the entire transformation. And customers can connect with us with any of our Cloud 4C offices across Middle East, or they can write to us in the email address, and we will connect with them, and then our workforce will do the rest.
Great. Thank you, Madhav, for that explanation. Now, before we close, I want to quickly go through all three of you once again with key takeaways. So, as we come to the end of the session, obviously, we want to leave the attendees with some of the best practices, guidance, any key thoughts. So, starting with you, Deb, key takeaways, best practices, recommendations, anything you'd like to quickly share with the attendees. Go ahead, Deb.
You summarized it. I will say it again. Disruption is there. It is coming. It is for you when you want to ride the tiger. Right? All new technologies are being delivered through cloud. Whether it is SAP, whether it is any other technologies you look at. So adopting to cloud, don't make it as an option or a choice. Make it, as a mandate within the organization. That would be my recommendation. And look for a cloud service provider who will walk you through the journey.
Thank you, Deb. Very, very interesting. Jason, your key takeaways, recommendations, best practices, go ahead.
Yeah, super short answer, but start small, think big, and move quickly with AWS support, because we want to embrace and help you move your SAP workloads into the cloud and see the benefits that Deb's outlined in his session with the capabilities from the Madaf's organization. I mean, we're ready to go. I think everybody can go. We can start small, think big, but let's get started.
Thanks. Great one over there. Obviously, AWS and Cloud 4C, good combination over there. Madhav, over to you. Best practices, recommendations from Cloud 4C. Go ahead, please.
Yeah, my recommendation is for customers to not only moving to the cloud, but think about S4 HANA as the digital core in their digital transformation journey. Maybe customers, they do have that existing SAP ECC support until 2027. But if you see S4 HANA, the mainstream release right from 1709, it is almost 4 years old, more than stabilized, and customers can take care of that particular S4 HANA digital core as part of the digital transformation. The advantage of S4 HANA today is whatever Dave was mentioning, the disruptions, All these things, if you look at it, you need to make sure that your people, your customers, your partners to adopt and then make this complete journey, make this that explore model rather than the exploit model we are talking about. You require S4 HANA as part of your transformation journey. And with S4 HANA, if you look about the entire run on any device, whether it is a desktop or a mobile, using that Fiori interfaces, gives you the competitive advantage for you to run your applications. And do talk to us. We try to make your journey, and we do this complete assessment, and then we make sure that you understand when you can time out your S4 HANA transformations.
Thank you very much, Madhav. Very interesting over there. So now I'd like to close the session. It's been fascinating 75 minutes of great thought leadership and services. Definitely eye-opener on cloud, SAP and AWS working together. So on behalf of Global CIO Forum, Cloud4C, AWS, and the speakers here, Devdeep Sengupta, Jason Bhatt, Madhav Rao, I thank all the attendees for sitting through the 60+ minutes, absolutely engaging content and discussion. Look forward to seeing you once again. Goodbye and thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.